revs and revs and revs. It's tempting to shift, but you don't want to because it's fun. Welcome back. I'm Tedward, and welcome back to the 2024 Lamborghini Huracan Sterrato. This is cool, and we're going to do a little living with video. We had some fun up in the canyons earlier, and yes, it's wonderful. There's the Aston Martin DBX 707 the Topher is playing with right now. But in this video, I want to talk about what it's like to live with. Is this the Lamborghini Huracan that you should have, given its price, its capability, its exclusivity, all those things? But honestly, I think this is the coolest Lamborghini out there right now, because you've got ground clearance, you've got all-terrain tires. We get it a little bit muddy, it starts to look cool. A muddy Lamborghini usually is just somebody had an off, whereas in this car, you go off on purpose because it's fun. I was trying to avoid some puddles on a mildly dirty road, and there was some like sticks and stuff, but all it does is hit this. So you're not like obsessed with your paint and all this other stuff. And I know it's still a $300,000 car and all that, but the reality is this is the one you want to live with, because this is the one that's fun. This is the one that you can do anything in, and it does it on the road, it does it off-road, and I don't need a nose lift to go over a speed bump. I can just go over the speed bump. It's the best. You get a little bit of wind noise from this roof rack, but that's fine. You know what it is. You hear that and you say, that's a cool noise because my Lamborghini has a roof rack. I mean, think about this. You don't even get roof rails on a normal Huracan. So the fact that it's got this whole assembly up top to hold like a spare tire is very, very cool. And even though it's on these sort of like special Bridgestone dualers made for this car, they don't have all that much grip. So it gives you the ability to like play with the car. It'll slide, it'll dance. The turn-in means you've got a little bit of sidewall squirm, but it's certainly still tight. They got to make more of these. This is a shame that this is the swan song of the Huracan, and I wish they were just making tons of these. But let's go in, go for a ride, play with the boys, and see what's up. Interior, it's a Huracan. This is the thing, like all inside, it's Huracan. There's nothing real special about it inside, aside from this one button. This is the light pod button. So that allows you to put those light pods on. They're not legal on public roads, as they say, but you get some cup holders and some little things like that. We've got our little phone holder right here, and I'm just obsessed with these seats and this interior. It's really fun, it's lovely, but not necessarily exclusive to Sterrato. A couple little things, you get the 60 Anniversario badge down here, and then on this side, just in case anybody was wondering if your thing is special, Huracan Sterrato 1D1499. I don't know how to say the numbers in Italian, so that's what you get. Everything else, pretty much Huracan, but suspension, wheels, tires, skid plates, she's ready to go. Before we start it up, this car is so new that it still has the plastic. So actually, I want to do this. Oh yeah. Now it's broken in. I don't have anywhere good to put that. But since it's a living with video, it's raining, so we can play with that. But I get to complain about little things. Which, you know, who cares? It's a Huracan. You're getting a great car. But this is not gonna, that can't work. That's crazy. That's not a cup holder. This is not a cup holder. This does not hold cups. The calendar says 4/2/24. It is February 4th, so that is a very European style of writing the date. So don't be fooled in case you thought it was April. No, it is not April. Anyway, let's start it up. This is a lot. I didn't love this on the Technica. I'm sure it's fine when you get used to it. I don't know if I want to proceed. But it is a little frustrating, but it's cool because you can bring up different information and stuff. You can put up a drive recorder, some of the information about the car, where it's putting power, tire temperatures and pressures. That's all good information. It's funny though, because like it'll give you like steering angle and like where it's putting power, rear or front. This is not a place that you can look at while you're driving. So although I'm glad it's not tacked on up there, some of that's like a little bit unusable. I guess if you had a camera on it or if you were using the data recorder, it'd be all right. But we'll put down our parking brake, put it in gear, and there's Chris Amos playing in the 707. And there's just nowhere to put your stuff. I mean, I guess I could have put it in the frunk, but the frunk has all kinds of stuff in there too, so that's not helpful. Put it in manual mode, we like that. What's funny is that we're the ones in the supercar, we're in the Lamborghini, and yet the Bentley, the Aston Martin, and the Maserati behind me all seemingly are as fast, if not faster, in like a straight line. This only has 417 pound-feet of torque, something like that. It is so wild how like a V10 supercar is now not the fastest thing on the road. So if that bothers you and you need the fastest thing on the road, well, this probably isn't it. But also, you're likely not buying a Lamborghini just to be the fastest thing. You want to be the flashy thing, the cool thing, the fun thing, and it does give you all of the fizz. So if you were going to buy the car and use the car, you're going to feel happy doing it. And that's what I love about this car. Also, some people go and put on the crazy exhaust and they're super duper loud. Something I love about this car is that it quiets down with the exhaust closed, and that means that I don't have to be obnoxious all the time. Sometimes I'm in an obnoxious car, but I don't want to be obnoxious. That's nice. That's a luxury. That's a feature to kind of quiet it down. Hear that? You don't, do you? And then it turns back on. Steering wheel mounted stuff. Headlights, windshield wipers, and your indicators. That's, you know, nothing new, but it is something that if this isn't a familiar cabin to you, that is something you got to get used to. If you're a motorcycle rider, that's second nature. You don't think about it at all. But if you're a car person, you're looking for a stock, you don't have it. I don't think I've ever washed the windscreen of a Lamborghini Huracan before. Okay, that's not the best design. That didn't do a great job coating the screen. That was a little silly. You can hear the wind noise from the roof rack up top. And you get a little bit of tire drone from the duelers. Not typical of the Huracan experience, but something that is part of the Sterrato experience. Oh, look at this Jag. Cool. It just revs and revs and revs. It's tempting to shift, but you don't want to because it's fun. Road isn't perfectly curated, you know, there's some bumps and imperfections in here. I don't have any concerns about it in the Sterrato because I've got big old sidewall. I've got, you know, 6.5, 7 inches of ground clearance. This might not be a fun road in a Performante or an Evo or a Technica, but everything becomes a fun and usable road in the Sterrato. I think people miss the point sometimes with their supercars because while you could have the latest, greatest, lowest, fastest thing, if it can't be driven at speed on your bumpy road because it bottoms out everywhere, well, then you don't have the fastest thing. In fact, then your Toyota becomes a heck of a lot faster. I think that makes living with the Sterrato better in a lot of ways than any other Huracan variant because there's less worry, there's less stress, and there's just more driving. You're able to do more driving. Very cool. It's always fun to car spot in California. It's a big car culture out here, so there's lots of stuff, lots of random spots of old things that haven't rotted away because of the rust that happens out in Michigan and Boston. Even though this is a phenomenal automatic transmission, when you're in these cars, I mean, when I'm in these cars, I always just drive with the paddles because the paddles are fun. It's like playing an instrument instead of listening to music. You know, you might as well play it yourself. It doesn't mean that I'm better at it. It doesn't mean that it's going to be a faster experience or that I'm going to hit that shift every time at the right spot at redline. But who cares? Like, the fun is in making an action and getting a response. And this car is always responding. Big old crackles and pops out the back. Of course, if it's not a Prius, it's a Scion. My goodness. And, you know, therein lies the problem. Sometimes you just can't win when you're hunting for a good road. And when you're in the race car, which this is still a race car, but when you're in like the real race cars, it feels like a nightmare. Oh no. In this, I'm perfectly content. Great GT86 or BRZ. The most important thing about this car is its V10. Tumbleweed! Yes, not afraid of a tumbleweed in a Sterrato. All right. Best thing about Huracan is the V10 because you've got a naturally aspirated 5.2 liter V10 making 602 horsepower, instant throttle response, no turbos, natural progression of redline, ridiculous redline, by the way, close to 9,000. It's like 8,500. It's the coolest, so you can't not love it. So if I could say anything about this car, living with this car, experiencing this car, it's that it's like the invincible supercar. You can drive it on gravel, you can slide it around, you can play with it. You don't have to slam the front of the car on speed bumps and stuff. Like, it is just a monster, and it's a fun thing to operate at all times. So living with the Sterrato, I'd say, is peak Lamborghini experience if you're not going to have a V12. It is giving me all of the fizz, all of the happiness in the world, and I am loving it. Imagine if this was your daily driver. Yes, please. So thank you guys so much for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing. Don't forget to respect the drive, and I'll see you in the next one.